dynamic range. As we adjust dynamic range, if the gain is considered to be the contrast of the picture, dynamic range is considered to be the brightness. Dr. Garcia will cycle the letters DR on the screen. At this point, have the number 70. This is a ratio in the world of ultrasonic signals, so there are no units, and it will cycle from 40 up to 110. Now, Dr. Garcia demonstrated something. We're going to go back. Cycle through again, Doctor. Go to 70, 80. Just do it one at a time. We'll get to one. Now, stop. No, you want, it's okay. I want to demonstrate at 40 how bright and speckled the image is. The contrast is too high. The brightness is too high, unless you're looking at something very small and you want to highlight that particular area. So that's the point in the exam where you'd want to achieve a much lower dynamic range. Now, this is the lower end. This is at 50, and you can see very clearly that the image is quite bright and pretty heavily speckled. It looks like someone put pepper on our screen. So we're going to move that up now just a little bit at a time from 50, and we'll watch the image change. That's good there, I think. So at that point, our image has become a little softer. We're able to see the structures a little more clearly without the bright reflectance. The next button down is labeled harmonic, but this is where we control the frequency. On this device, the two frequencies that the linear probe scans is 7.5 and 10 megahertz. That's demonstrated and labeled next to the letter F in the area of the parameters. Right now we're scanning at 10 megahertz. Once Dr. Garcia hits the harmonic button, it will change to 7.5, and the image quality, no, that's denoise, the next one up there, and that changes the image quality a little bit, and we should probably be scanning at 7.5 for this exam. The basic physics of ultrasound dictates that the higher the frequency, the lower the penetration. So if you want to scan something very superficial, you want to be scanning it at the higher frequency. We've dropped down now a little bit to 7.5, and this is a better frequency to scan at 4 centimeters into the tissue. The next button down is controls what ultrasonographers refer to as speckle. It's a simple filter for clutter in the returning echo. In this device, the denoise function is labeled ENH and ranges from 0 to 4. At this point in time on the viewing screen, we're at the number 3. So Dr. Garcia will hit denoise a couple of times, and we'll see it cycle up to 4, and then back to 0. Yeah, denoise. And then you can see this now is full of artifact and noise in the returning echoes. As we increase our filtering just a little bit, the image softens. Up one more. A typical value for scanning is somewhere in the middle of that range, around the level 2 for filtering. Based on your needs and the target, you can adjust the filter and eliminate more or less clutter out of the echo. Is the scan mode. At this time, we're scanning in the B mode. This is the basic black and white grayscale that we're all familiar with, and that's where you're going to do probably 90 to 95% of all your exams. Once we touch that button one time, we open up a menu. The B, there we go. And now we display the other scanning functions of the probe. This probe is very powerful in that it contains many of the color analysis functions used in vascular studies. These are in order: M mode, color Doppler, power Doppler, imaging, and pulse wave. The simplest demonstration to give is with the color Doppler. We have then a square that appears, a window on the screen. We can move this screen, the square with our fingertip to get over the target, and there we see the color flow through the patient's carotid. Once we choose a function, more buttons open along the bottom for control of that function. So these are all of the necessary controls for color Doppler analysis. We won't go into the physics of each one today. Steer simply changes the angle of incidence. The gain is just what it says, the brightness of the Doppler signal. There are instructions on how high or how low to take the gain. We'll review that in another instructional video. Pulse repetition frequency, window, and then how to actually move or size the window screen. We can, in fact, make that a little smaller or a little bit bigger with our fingertips with this control, and then we can move the screen. But that's a great view of the color flow through the patient's carotid artery. That's a simple demonstration. Let me see what I can do to show you just a little bit of the incredible power of this function. This is a pulse wave Doppler. I'm going to try to center this over the patient's carotid. Now this, all ultrasonographers out there are cringing. This is not the exact way to do this exam, but what I want to demonstrate is on the window at the bottom, a regular pulse that we've obtained for the patient. Along the side of the window is a scale. This is a velocity scale. Simple functions would be to lower the baseline, and now we see more of the true form of the patient's pulse wave. Very classic arterial pulse waveform. The window and the angle of incidence can be changed here, as anyone knows, with the volume. The size of the window is adjusted. The angle inside the window and between 40 and 60 is optimal. We all know that. And then again, steering is the angle of incidence of the green line. I think you can appreciate that I changed that a little bit. And a perpendicular ultrasonic signal to blood flow is unable to measure any velocity. So everybody knows, and you do too now, to change the angle of incidence a little bit to help enhance the detection of echoes from moving. Actually, it's the red blood cells in the artery. That's a very powerful function that many of the other devices on the market right now do not possess. Power Doppler simply augments the signal from the regular color flow. In case you're ever imaging in a low flow area and are uncertain of any flow, this will enhance that signal. And M mode, of course, is for cardiac primarily. If I can center this a little bit, and you see the open area. This was closed before, now it's open. And if this were a cardiac exam, we'd be able to demonstrate outflow tracts and inflow tracts. That's our M mode. I'm going to return now to basic V mode, but very few handheld wireless probes. As a matter of fact, none of them on the market today will provide that kind of vascular analysis. At that point, we only have one more function to demonstrate.